What you're about to listen to is, in fact, an episode of Now This Is Lit. But it's going to sound a little different. And that's because this is a special episode of the show that I think you're really going to like. And you'll understand why it's different once the actual episode starts. But I just wanted to pop in and let you know that nothing is happening with the normal show. It will go on as it has been. The main show is, and always will be, Now This Is Lit. I'm just adding things and trying new things. And I hope you like what I've come up with as much as I do. Welcome to a show we have yet to name.
Oops.
We've been trying to come up with a name for the show, and we'll tell you all about it. But we need to record. We need to record the episode, and we're very excited to record the episode, and we're excited that you're here listening to it. But we'll come up with a name by the time it actually comes out. But we need a little bit more time to come up with something really good. Now This Is Lit. Nailed it. You need to do that again. And I'm pointing to you, my producer, who's also here with me doing this new show.
Hell yeah. It's me. Sorry. I somehow didn't clock that was supposed to be my cue to introduce myself.
That's called a cue.
Oops.
Okay, so welcome to a little bit of a chaotic thing that we are creating. So you are listening to this episode ideally because you already listened to Now This Is Lit. This is still Now This Is Lit, but this particular episode, while you are all listening to it now, will after this episode and moving forward, be an exclusive show that you can only listen to if you are a member of the Patreon that we have created by the time this episode has aired. I want to do more things for all of you because you're so wonderful. You keep listening. You keep coming back for some reason. And I wanted to create more things about Star Wars books and I wanted to do something that was fun for you and fun for me and my producer that we could do and enjoy doing, but also it's just like it's a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less production, if you will. We can be a little bit less I don't know, ourselves. We can be more ourselves, not less ourselves. I don't know what that would look like. I love doing interviews. I love doing book discussions. I love informing you about book-related things. But right now, I just want to talk about books and have fun. And that's what this show is all about. It will be a Patreon exclusive show. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the thing where I eventually release it later. I haven't figured all that out yet, but we will. And whatever this show is called, it's going to be great. Do you want to tell the listeners what this show that we're recording now is about?
Yes, absolutely. And I have to give you full credit for coming up with the concept for this show. So this was not my idea, even though I am setting it up here on the inaugural episode. So what we're going to do is, This Is Lit, a Star Wars books podcast. So we're going to talk about Star Wars books, but by way of a different kind of mechanism. So what we have done is we have gone onto Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia editors, for all your service that you do. And we have pulled a list of Star Wars books, both canon and legends. And we've gone through, we put them all in a single Word document, and we've numbered them. The number that we have, the count is 313.
And this is Star Wars canon and Star Wars Legends novels. So we're not jumping into every single book, at least not yet. We're starting with the novels because it is more likely that we will know about what we're talking about.
And so what we're going to do is we are going to have a random number generator generate some number between 1 and 313. And whatever number the generator gives, we will talk about the book that is at that number on that list. And maybe it's a book we've both read. Maybe it's a book only one of us have read. Maybe it's a book neither of us have read.
And that just means that whatever book we land on, it's going to be a great conversation. It could be short, it could be long, it could go in any direction. We're pretty good at going in any direction. You and I talking together, we do it quite often. We live in the same house, so I thought this would be fun. I thought that this would be a fun way to really, talk about Star Wars books, which we both love doing, but also maybe like discover Star Wars books that we knew existed, but maybe like weren't super aware of, or like books that we've wanted to read that now we're like reminded, like, oh, I want to read that series, or I want to read that book, or I want to read more from this author. So this is like, it can accomplish a lot of different things, but the most important thing is it's going to be random and chaotic and fun. And that's what I wanted to set out to do with this, because we all need that in our lives. All right, so you have the list and I have the number generator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the little button and it's going to give me a number, and then you're going to tell me what the number is or what the corresponding book is, and we're just going to go for it. We don't know how this is going to go. We're just winging it. And that's the most fun part about it, I think.
All right, give me a number.
Okay.
I'm excited and like a little bit scared.
I know. Like, is this going to be like a book that we've not even heard of? Which, I mean, there are a lot of books. It's possible. Generate. Let's see. Okay. Book number 266.
All right, I'm going to the list.
Let's see what
Wait, what was that number again?
266. I have no idea what this is going to be.
All right, we have got Boba Fett, A Practical Man by Karen Travis.
What is this?
I have never heard of this book.
Well, you know what that means. We got to look it up. And what better place to look up a Star Wars book than on Wikipedia?
Yes, all right. I'm looking it up.
This show is not sponsored by Wikipedia, but, we love them. We love them. Got to have you on the show at some point. I have talked to you before, just in a different format.
All right, I got the Wikipedia. All right, so, as we said, author is Karen Travis. It was published in August of 2006. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. All right. So the top line, the intro part of it says, Boba Fett, A Practical Man is an e-novella by Karen Travis. It focuses on what led Boba Fett and the Mandalorians to fend off the Yuuzhan Vong invaders during the devastating Yuuzhan Vong War.
Yes.
The ebook contains an additional 3-page preview of Legacy of the Force Betrayal, preview of Legacy of the Force Bloodlines, an interview. All right. So that's the
This is exactly what I hoped for. So I probably knew in some capacity that this book existed. This author wrote a lot of legends. One of my favorite series, the Republic Commando series, but also a lot of other book series. And there's a lot of good Boba Fett stuff in Legends. Some of it I've gotten to personally, some I have not yet. Boba Fett is one of those characters we have not gotten a lot of book-wise in canon. I do actually think that's a tragedy, because he is a very interesting character. I mean, we did get a whole series about him, so I guess there's that. But why not more books? But what a book to start with.
I know. I am trying to skim the summary here just to figure out what is happening here. All right.
It's fitting because I am reading the New Jedi Order right now, so I have some context for some of it. I'm only on book 5. Book 6? No, I'm starting book 6. So
All right. So, what have we got? All right. Boba Fett, he's chasing down a bounty. Then there's a Mandalorian named Goron Bevan.
Mandalorians. I love Mandalorians. We need more books about Mandalorians in canon. Is anyone listening? I want to write a book about Mandalorians. I can't wait. I can't wait to eventually get to this e-novella in my reading journey. I'm not reading all of Legends chronologically all the way through or anything, but I am like eventually I do want to have read everything. And I know that's like a common goal. I'm just talking as you're reading through the summary. This is so fun. It's a common goal. Like a lot of book fans want to have read everything, and I know of a lot of people who are going through Legends and trying to get to everything, and I would like to do that. And that's for things like this, where like I knew it existed. I knew they did these little novella things that kind of fit into the larger canon of Legends, let's say. You know what I mean. And Boba Fett, great character.
Sorry, well, I'm trying to have a starting point to have this conversation.
I know. I ingest. This is why we're here. Actually, the Legacy of the Force series, from what I've read of it, is very good, and that's one where they like alternate authors. So like not it's not all one author. It's like different ones. And from what I remember, I think I've read the first. I think I have, and I have read the first 2 in that series. And when I'm done with the New Jedi Order, I would like to get back to those that I've read and then read the rest of them. Because I remember really, really enjoying those. Interesting era of Star Wars, you know. All kinds of wars going on in the stars.
All right, so I have sort of an idea of what this book is about.
All right, just give me like a simple like a summary, I guess, or something.
So essentially, it's about the Yuuzhan Vong. They're planning an invasion of Mandalore, and
how dare they? How rude, honestly.
Yeah, Boba is somehow involved in trying to stop it. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yep. Definitely a thing you want to stop from happening.
Yeah, 100%. That's the gist that I'm getting of skimming this while also being on a podcast and making sure I'm listening to what you're saying.
I mean, I was just saying nonsense, really. I mean,
yeah.
How dare they want to invade Mandalore? I mean, but Mandalore is also a very powerful planet, so like you want, you know, if the whole idea is to overtake the entire galaxy, you want to hit the big ones, you know. Mandalorians, they're tough, but you know, you know nothing about this war. You know nothing about. It's like imagine that you're just the New Republic and you're just minding your own business, and then one day, these very there's an invasion. There's an invasion by a species with weapons and things that you are very not familiar with and cannot combat. This is not like your empire that you're used to fighting. Like you can't just like take some X-Wings out and like shoot down some TIE fighters, you know. This is like you cannot like shoot down these ships. You can't like this is not anything that you're used to or prepared for. To make things worse, maybe you're Leia Organa and you're like very important in the New Republic politics, and you go back to the Senate and you're like, hey, this invasion is happening and this is bad, and no one believes that it's actually a problem, so of course no one does anything. So who's it up to actually do something about this threat? You know, our heroes, the big 3, or more, depending on, you know, whatever. That was not a very good, maybe it was a good description. I don't know. I'm trying not to spoil things for you. You probably already know one of the big things.
I mean, the only things that I know about the Yuuzhan Vong, again, being largely a Legends outsider, is they're from outside the galaxy, and they can't be sensed through the Force.
Yes.
Those are the 2 things I know about the Yuuzhan Vong. There you go,
and that's the problem, isn't it? Well, because, you know, at this point, the Jedi are trying to get back to, you know, their original purpose, which is to, like, be the peacekeepers and kind of, like, protect the galaxy from, like, conflict and stuff like that, and trying to get back to their roots, if you will. Kind of hard to do that when you can't sense an enemy coming. So, like, that's, you know, that's a big deal. But I'm so glad to know that Boba Fett is participating in this effort to stop Mandalorian. When does this fall in like the
timeline?
In the timeline,
yes,
or like
that
what,
is. Hang on, that's at the top of this. So it says, in universe timeline, it says 24 to 25 ABY.
Oh, okay, that doesn't that doesn't help me. I don't remember when the books take it was, but it's at some point during the Jedi Order.
I mean, like, if you think about, like, some of the kind of basics of this book, it's like, it's Boba Fett, it's New Republic period, there's this kind of larger conflict. Like, we're getting bits and pieces of this now in current canon. Right, whether it's, we got Boba Fett back first in Mando Season 2 and then in Book of Boba Fett and kind of establishing his post-Return of the Jedi story. We're in this New Republic period. We don't have Yuzan Vong yet. Maybe that's a part of where our conversation can go. But we do have this looming thread of this conflict with the return of Thrawn. And there's also that element of, like, you've got our heroes and they're trying to beseech the New Republic, being like, hey, this threat's coming, we got to deal with it. And the New Republic being like, yeah, like, we don't really think this is an issue, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got, like, some of those elements. And then also, the role of Mandalore in the midst of all this with, like, Gideon having been set up there and then the retaking of Mandalore and all that. So we got, like, some of these pieces are kind of in play around this, like, a little bit earlier in the timeline. But some of these, like, characters and these elements are being used now in storytelling.
It's interesting because I thought I'd seen this on Libby when I was saving all the new Jedi Order books or whatever. It's listed in this as 1.5 in the series. So I guess maybe it comes at, like, in between books 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean,
technically?
it's described as a novella, so it does seem like it's maybe kind of a transition story,
so
much like Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my, okay. Do we need to talk about that?
Was Mando season 2.5?
Okay,
Question mark.
You are a Book of Boba Fett had some problems kind of person.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes. For the record, both copies are available at our library. If you wanted to read it. not you, general you, but you sitting across from me. I kind of want to read it now because, like, whatever you may feel, however you may feel about the Boba Fett series, Book of Boba Fett is what it's called.
Yes, correct.
He can be a very compelling character. Depending on where he's placed and what he's doing. And Karen Travis is also, like, a very good, like, Mandalorian writer. That's a lot of what the Republic Commando series is and why I liked it so much. So she probably made that very interesting. Yeah. Do you think current canon, like Star Wars books, TV, whatever, will kind of take this Legends conflict and kind of somehow bring it into canon? Or do you think they'll kind of just stay away from that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I mean, if they're going to bring it in, they can't, of course, bring it in at the same time. Because, right now, we've already got this kind of budding Thrawn Imperial Remnant story. Yeah. And then we also have, beyond that, the sequel trilogy. Right. So, like, there's really no way that, like, you could, get to the sequel trilogy point and then, like, be like, oh, by the way, 10 years before, these extragalactic aliens launched a massive invasion and war. Right. And there's no, like, remnant, there's no, like, ripple effect anywhere that you could see. Right. Now, could you do it in a post-Rise of Skywalker period? We know that purportedly maybe we're getting a new Jedi Order Rey movie. Right. Could you do something like that? Conceivably.
Yeah.
I mean, we have just had Ahsoka introducing, well, not really introducing the notion of, extra galactic elements to Star Wars, because
Right.
we kind of already had those even in canon.
Right.
Because technically, for example, Camino is a planet that is outside of the main galaxy.
Right.
Or like just outside of it. But I mean, like really jumping to another galaxy.
Right.
So there's potentially something they could do with that. I don't know that they would like as straightforwardly like carbon copy. Like I don't think we're gonna get the Yu Zanvong
Right.
just like brought completely in.
Right.
They will probably end up doing what they've done with a lot of Legends uses recently, which is we'll get some kind of adaptation. Like if you think about the return of Palpatine,
Right.
which is a thing that happens in Legends, but it is brought into canon within the context of pre-existing canon story, and then there's a lot of the elements around it that are not. So they might use like concepts. So
Right,
like
right.
we might get the concept of extra galactic invaders, and like that's a thing that happens. But maybe they don't look like the Yu Zanvong. They don't have the features. Maybe they get rid of the like you can't sense them through the Force, except like all that stuff.
Right.
But we might just get that kernel of it.
It would be interesting though to use the element of can't sense them in the Force. You haven't seen, this is the first thing that came to mind, but you haven't seen the Netflix Daredevil series.
No.
Because there's this episode where, because the way he fights his enemies is he hears them. And there's this episode where he's fighting someone or something, but he can't hear them. Like they're like completely silent. And so like he has to figure out like, how do I combat this enemy that I can't sense pretty much? So like it would be, I think it'd be interesting, because we haven't, because it's an interesting thing in canon. Like imagine like Rey having to like, because you mentioned like it being after Rise of Skywalker. Like imagine her like overcoming all of this and then dealing with a threat like that. I think that'd be interesting. Are
Yeah.
they gonna do it? I don't know.
I mean, the one nugget, and again, Star Wars does have, has a proven track record of like taking some concept and then kind of recycling or doing a twist so that's a little bit different. Like, it might be a little bit hard given, for example, now with High Republic and the Nameless, because they're kind of already used that card of here are these creatures that are kind of screwing with the Jedi's Force abilities.
That's true. I didn't.
So
think about that.
could they do that again? Again, they could put a twist on it,
Right.
such that it is different. Because with the Nameless, you're dealing with these creatures, and then it's like, well, what if you applied a version of that, but you did it to like a civilization
Right.
of folks who have ships and stuff,
Right.
and that's a little bit different than like an animal.
Yeah.
So again, there's ways that they could do the same thing or a similar thing and do a twist. But
Right.
like, I'm just thinking like such a big part of the High Republic and the threat is like, oh, here are these entities that are kind of neutering our Jedi.
Right.
Like, could you do that again?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, like there is something to be said for like original ideas. But a lot of things in canon are inspired by legends, but that's really also just the factor of like stories are inspired by stories are inspired by stories. You're never really taking anything from anyone else. You're really kind of just building off of things that already exist. Which is just how stories are. Like if you look at your life as a story, the things that you take from that and you're writing a story based off of that, like there are elements that are in common with other things. But I don't know. Everyone wants that to happen. Everyone wants all their favorite things from Legends to be part of canon, and it could happen. They could find a way to honor it, so to speak, or they could not, and that would be fine. Yeah, I don't know. I want to read it. Maybe I should read it since I'm already reading this series. I don't know.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, it's a novella, so it's shorter. I guess we'll see. If you really want to get the whole like quote unquote New Jedi Order era experience. I don't know why I said it like that. Something I really like about the format that we're doing right now is there's no limit. We could pretty much talk about anything.
Exactly.
Which is great because there's not, what do you say about a book you haven't read? Well, there are many things you can say. And it's not that I haven't wanted to read it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Of course you would pick a Legends book that's like in the middle of a thing. Love that. Yeah. If you haven't read anything by this author, you definitely should. You should read Republic Commando. Tragically never finished. The biggest tragedy of all, I think. I think you really would like that series.
I think so too. I mean, it's not part of the Essential Legends collection, so
yeah, there you go.
Extra incentive.
Yeah, Clone Wars, and then after the Clone Wars, very much like Bad Batch, but different, but kind of like that. And you like Bad Batch?
I do.
Shout out to whenever season 3 is going to be. Apparently soonish. I don't know. I want Bad Batch like books.
Yeah.
I want like, I want more of these characters. It's like, it's good that they're ending with season 3 in that like the story that they wanted to tell, they're done telling and they don't have to stretch it out. Like I don't like when shows do that just for the sake of having more show. But it still is a tragedy that we only get 3 seasons and only get so much time with these characters because they're great. They're really, really, really good. And the episodes are good. The series is good. It's been good all the way through. And I'm going to miss it a lot.
Yeah. And it's interesting to think about this because I was having a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording, we had a conversation over on Clashing Sabers where we were talking a little bit, just it was a sort of like general Star Wars animation conversation, but then we got into Bad Batch. And if you think about it, like at least from a TV show perspective, maybe, we'll still get some books and comics to this effect, but like once Bad Batch wraps up with season 3, like that's going to close out a giant part of Star Wars storytelling, which is the Clone Wars and kind of the things that branch off of it, because we're probably not going to get another either Clone Wars era or even Clone Wars adjacent spin-off show again.
Yeah, probably not. And it's weird because I love the Bad Batch and I love the direction it's going and I love the ways it connects to other eras and other things in Star Wars, but it's like when that's done, those characters are just done. And I don't know. Like I love this. I love this era. I love the era between episode 3 and episode 4. It is like my favorite. Like I know we have a lot of stuff in there, a lot of books, a lot of comics, a lot of things, a lot of shows, but I love it. I love it because like there's this constant like wondering of like, are we ever going to be able to defeat the Empire or like get out from under this, or like is anything ever going to be good again? And this constant like all over the galaxy, like these small like groups of people trying to do something to maybe spark enough hope to make it better. I love that. There's something about that I can't get enough of. And somehow, even though we have a lot of stories in this era, I don't feel like it's enough. I want more. And whenever something like this ends, it makes me sad. It makes me sad. But I also I don't know what they're gonna do with season 3, so who knows where it's gonna end up. But yeah, but think about like Omega, for example.
Yeah.
Like what happens to her after this? Like where does she go? What does she do? Like we don't see her after this. But do we?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. I mean, we have already lost, we think, one member of the batch at the end of season 2 with Tech. Mm-hmm. It's possible that we lose one or more over the course of season 3. I don't think it will be Omega.
No, Omega will be like the last one standing.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was really dark.
The darkest version of it is that she's the last one standing. So then, it's the question. I mean, like, it's a big galaxy, so she could presumably end up anywhere, doing anything.
Yeah. And, wow, circling back to Boba Fett, I want to know more about, like, their, like, connection.
Yeah. I hope they do something with it because they do, season 1 did that tease of, like, there's Alpha and Omega,
Yeah.
the two of them being the only two perfect, Django copies.
Yeah.
So they threw that in, and when they did that, I thought for sure, oh, they're going to do something Boba in season 2, because you don't just throw that out there and then do nothing with it.
Right.
They didn't do anything with it in season 2. So
are they saving it for season 3 though? Is that going to be the big thing?
yeah, I mean, it could be something there in season 3. I mean, there's of course, between the two of them, there's the Fennec Shand connection. So yeah, you have to wonder, they got to do something with that in some capacity. You would think.
I want I want this to be a book. I want this this book to be this conflict or this connection between Boba and Omega, and because it's very interesting to me. But like you said, they haven't really done anything with it yet, so they must be saving it.
Yeah, and they haven't done much with Boba in general in that same Dark Time stretch.
Right.
I mean, we just recently got him popping up in Jedi Survivor.
Right.
But yeah, we don't have a lot of storytelling with him, at least in canon anyway, kind of post-Clone Wars and then into when he kind of crops back up in the original trilogy.
Right. And I want to know what he's up to,
Yeah.
There's, that's the thing about Star Wars that I think one of the things I love the most is the possibilities for stories are infinite. They're never going to run out of possible things they could do. Not even factoring in all the new characters and new things they're going to create. You have all these characters that already exist and parts of their lives we don't have stories about yet. And that's very exciting to me, I think. Because Boba Fett may not be the character that I think about when I think about my favorite characters or the characters I'm most excited to see new stories about. But it's stuff like this where I'm thinking about but what was he doing at this point? That's a book.
Yeah,
it is. That's a show, or that's a movie. As much as I don't like to be we need a movie about everything. Star Wars needs to work on its movies. They're doing that right now, presumably. I don't know. But yeah, I want a book for I just like Star Wars books a lot. And that's why we're here, isn't it?
Correct.
Now I'm thinking about the Bad Batch. Okay, so the show is ending, right? So why not do some books?
Exactly. They've done a little bit with comics because we got the one shot, the Hyperspace Stories.
Oh, right.
There's a Bad Batch one.
I haven't read that yet.
So
it's ending, or it just ended, I think.
Yeah.
In what better way to catch up with the series than right when it ends? I'm working on it. You heard about that in the last episode where we talked about our reading resolutions. I'm gonna read more comics. Ayo. This is so wild.
Correct.
I spilled smoothie on myself.
No.
It's all over my shirt. You were talking and I couldn't say anything because you were saying something so insightful, but it's all over me.
Great work.
I am who I am. I don't know how you feeling. Should we keep going or should we call it?
Any other points you want to bring up?
No.
I don't think I have anything either.
We genuinely hope that you've enjoyed whatever this was. The whole idea behind doing this was to really just give us a reason to talk about Star Wars and things that we like. It doesn't have to be books. It doesn't have to really be anything as long as it doesn't even have to be Star Wars, but I mean, it's probably going to be Star Wars. But if you like hearing people talk about Star Wars and things that are inspired by random books, this show is for you. And, this episode is free. We released it on the main feed because I wanted you to experience something a little bit different that Now This Is Lit is doing. But if you want more of the show, and we will be doing more, I don't know how often, I don't know any of those details, but if you want to know more about all of those details, you can become a member of our Patreon. So I hope I hope you had a good time. We'll get better at this. We'll get into a groove. We always do.
Yes, we do.
And you know what? It's fun. It was really fun to not know what we were getting into and then find a random book and find out what it's about and just go from there. So that's what we're going to keep doing on this show that we had a lot of fun recording. So thank you for listening. And I hope that you'll listen to more of these episodes as they come out.